9 Premier League fans.
Why does it all of a sudden matter so much to Spurs fans when you're backing up Pochettino?
1 heated question.
But we don't want the game breaking up 50 times a game.
2 step up for debate. The other 7 listen and pick a side. But nothing is final.
No.
This is the last one part of your banner era.
Yeah, ish.
At any moment, they can switch sides if the argument sways them. Who stands firm and who will cross the line?
So with all the money that you've spent in the time that you've had Arteta, nearly $1 billion at this point, you still haven't been able to surpass what Pochettino did. You guys claim to have the best defensive team, but during Pochettino's era, we were back-to-back years best defensive record as well. Then you look at it, Champions League. We've reached further in the Champions League spending 0 than you have with what you have spent. In terms of league finishes, you still haven't surpassed what Pochettino's done. The way I see your team right now, you guys are essentially that Pochettino team, but you've had a lot more money spent. And I wonder what Pochettino could have done had he had the same money that Arteta had.
I think the money argument is quickly becoming quite irrelevant. You look at how much teams have spent around us. It's not about the money spent, it's about the recruitment. Look how much money you spent since you got rid of Pochettino. You're arguably worse. So obviously money doesn't really play that much of a factor because it's about the recruitment. In other debates, you revert to trophies to say who was better. So actually, for once, I'm going to back Mikel Arteta and say, how many trophies did Mauricio Pochettino win at Spurs? The answer's none. Arteta has got one, and he's going to push for another.
And that one he got, though, was in his first year, and a team that wasn't his. So all that recruitment you talk about, he technically still didn't even have. Once he's got that recruitment, he still hasn't been able to deliver anything. And it's almost like, what if, which is what everybody said about Pochettino. Except Pochettino, for me, showed better coaching because he had less money to spend. He had less to work with. He had a scarce 11.
I feel like just the playing style as well. I think it's very, very close because achievements are quite similar. But
I feel like people remember Pochettino's term.
Yeah.
Did more in that space.
100%, that's what it is. I think that sways me.
Better coaching and making the most out of a worse situation.
But what did Mauricio Pochettino actually do for Spurs except sort of leave them in the same exact place as they was when he took over?
No, because when he took over, we hadn't qualified consistently for the Champions League since 1989.
So all of a sudden, Champions League's an achievement.
No, but you're saying what he done.
Yeah.
Spurs were never historically a top 4 side. We got into that conversation because of Pochettino. He made us a regular fixture in Champions League. We were having glorious nights against Juve's, Real Madrid's, long before you were.
This is everything that we get taken the piss out of for, though. We revert back to that night against Real Madrid. Why does it all of a sudden matter so much to Spurs fans when you're backing up Pochettino, but we can't do it now?
Because we were doing it with a lot less. And the fact that you guys now still see yourself in this high and mighty Arsenal, when you still haven't even eclipsed what your little brother, as you call us, did, I think that speaks poorly on Arteta.
But Pochettino didn't really ever properly challenge for a Premier League title. I know he finished second and also third in a 2-horse race in 15-16.
Oh, you mean the 2-horse race that you talk about? You guys were top
not
for the
denying,
most
not
weeks
denying that we
season.
bottled that, but
you were singing.
You were singing at Stoke away. You were singing
You
at
wanna leave
Stoke
that
away.
out?
Leicester City, we're coming for you. You didn't come anywhere near him. You finished third.
But it's like who's a better team, not who did better with what they had. That's not the question.
I think
of course that plays
the Tottenham
into
team.
it.
The Tottenham
in terms
team
of pound
knocked
for
out.
pound.
You can look and probably pinpoint City as one of the greatest English teams ever, and Tottenham knocked us out of the Champions League.
Why is it always about City?
Because
No,
we were the
because it's
greatest
a
team.
fact.
Because we got
It's a
198
fact.
points in 2 seasons.
Well, we knocked Real
And
Madrid out
Tottenham-
last year.
Tottenham-
We can all
Home and away
you
got
knocked-
a result.
You knocked them out with a handball goal in the last minute. You
No,
lost.
Aguero missing a
in the
penalty
same
with
game.
Lloris's wonderful save. Let's not forget that.
All I'm
as well.
saying is I don't see
One of these
Arsenal doing
teams.
that to that City team
And
or getting
Mauricio
anywhere near
Pochettino.
it.
All in all, I think right now you have had all this spending and your team is still not better.
Which one of
than
these
what
two
that
teams won a
Tottenham team
trophy? Can I ask that? As any?
They won an FA Cup.
And to me, football's only about trophies. I've got to be consistent.
when
That's a clear point of mine. And the only one who has, Pochettino didn't.
Do you seriously think that Pochettino's Tottenham team at Wembley, we'll do a neutral ground, at Wembley would beat this Arsenal team?
think it would be a very closer game than you think. You forget what Harry Kane and Son were. Dele Alli in his prime. Christian Eriksen was one of the most creative midfielders in the Premier League for years. Moussa Dembele was bullying your midfield single-handedly at times, and that backline was one of the best back-to-back years.
So why did they not compete for a Premier League trophy?
Sometimes it's the luck of the draw.
Arsenal are top of the league currently, and we are favourites to win this league. Tottenham were never favourites to win a league under Pochettino.
Because we got 100 points,
even at the
mate.
pinnacle.
And that's the thing. I feel like the competition we had at the time, you had a freakless side, you had Man City who were emergent under Pep Guardiola, and then you had Conte's Chelsea team, which to this day is still being spoken about. So the competition we had was more varying, more different and harder, probably, I would say.
You're forgetting Klopp's Liverpool as well, mate.
And also, I mean, I can't, this is a pathetic argument, but I would say that this Arsenal team probably beats Leicester City to the title, and Pochettino's Tottenham, at the best, at the pinnacle, didn't.
This Arsenal team, favourites to win this league. You know, Spurs never got over the line, and then the trophy thing in the end added up. And they're on the Arsenal side.
Initially, I was there because straight away I'm like, Pochettino, Champions League final, beat Man City. That's done now. And then you think Arteta still going, still got that chance.
I don't think the achievements are too dissimilar against the teams, and for what I see it as more of a purist, I think Pochettino achieved the style of football he did and looked more attractive than Arsenal did for a longer period of time throughout his tenure, and I think we're only just starting to see the effectiveness of Arteta's team now.
Tottenham under Pochettino were a joy to watch. Arsenal under Arteta were a chore to watch. Boring. Stoke City FC. So I'd rather watch Pochettino and Spurs any day of the week. They were the better side.
Meet again.
Matty. Last 5 years, so going back to 2020, okay, so we've got the same amount of trophies since then, which is one each, so that's the trophy argument over.
Is it really?
Well, it is. I mean, yours is a bigger pedigree. I'd rather win the Europa League than the FA Cup, but it's the same exact thing, and I don't think the Europa League really did you any favours. The last 4 or so years, I think that Spurs fans, the number one thing that they didn't want is to actually watch Tottenham play, because it's just sort of been rotten from the dinner lady to the owners. There was nothing going for your club. Whereas Arsenal during that time have been building something very special, and we're on the cusp of potentially all of that glory.
But that's the problem, it's on the cusp. It's not having done anything
Arsenal
yet.
have built to this stage now where they could actually be dominant
been,
for a
Forget
good
that,
couple
you've said
years.
last 5 years.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing.
If you went,
I knew that it was
what we're
building.
saying now,
So much more.
you
And the
can
worst
only
thing
live
is
5 years
you
again,
guys
ever.
actually
You just
had
put
an
it, and it's
opportunity
the
to
last
win
5
that
years
same
of which
trophy,
one?
and you got absolutely
Which one?
Yeah, but
battered
you
by
knew
Chelsea
you were
in it.
building
So
to
it's
this.
a case of,
Do you know what I mean?
had you won that, we would have been able to sit and say, you know what, in terms of trophies is the same. But I don't think so, because even that FA Cup, it's Arteta's coming in, and it was Emery's kind of
only
squad
had
that
that
he's kind of
Europa
won it
League.
with. So really, you know,
So the question was, who would you rather have been? And I've actually used this debate on Humz before. For me, football is about happiness, right? Look,
because earlier on you said it was about trophies.
Obviously, football,
you change
trophies,
every moment.
trophies is
Now
the
it's
end goal.
happiness.
I mean, look, we've both got the same amount of trophies, but I've looked forward to watching Arsenal every single week because we've been building something. I know we haven't got there just yet, but we've been an enjoyment to watch. I've watched academy players like Saka come through, falling in love with all these different players and building something that we haven't had before. And now we are, again, as I say, on the cusp. You've won the Europa League. Who's happier right now as we both stand here?
I'm delighted. I'm back in the Champions League.
But
after
do you think
17th.
Spurs fans are happier than Arsenal fans
I'm living
are?
the dream.
Do you think Spurs fans are happier than Arsenal fans are?
I think we're very happy, put it that way.
Happier than Arsenal?
The thing is with you lot is you lot are celebrating the same things that you lot spent 4 or 5 years before that, cussing us under Pochettino, and now you go and parade it like, hey guys, we're building something, we're on the cusp. When
Did you win the FA Cup?
In reality,
this is what I'm just about to say.
It wasn't within the last 5 years, by the way. The FA Cup was not in the last 5
No,
years.
it was 2020. It was August 1st, 2020. August 1st, 2020.
It was 1920. 1920.
So hang on a second.
You're clinging on.
So it's all about trophies, yeah? During our banter era, which was terrible, we won 4 FA Cups. During your Poch prime era...
So this last one was part of your banter era?
Huh? No.
Was this last one part of your banner era?
Yeah, ish. But you won nothing in the peak of your... So it's not all about trophies, because I was jealous of Spurs when we were winning those FA Cups. And you were competing because I was petrified
Are you
that
being
might
honest
have
there?
gotten there. Genuinely,
You,
I was
you
very
were jealous of us
when
finishing
you had
top
Ali,
four.
Kane,
It's like
everyone.
you collecting FA Cups.
I promise you, hand on my heart, I would have swapped places because we were crap. I didn't want to watch Arsenal. The FA Cups did nothing for me. I want the bigger and better things, which is the Premier League and Champions League, and that's where we're at right now. And you are nowhere near it. You've got no identity. You want half your fan base wants your gaffer out already because he's not playing brave football. They don't back him.
That's not true.
Frank out trending on Twitter.
No
by
one's
the way.
saying Frank out.
Frank out
We want
trending.
better, but that doesn't mean we want him out.
You're nowhere near it though. What are you competing for? You're not going to win the Champions League. You're not going to win the Premier League.
you gonna win it?
You might nick.
Are you going to win the Champions League?
We're top of the Champions League and top of the Premier League.
Liverpool were top last year and got
You
knocked out
lot
first knockout
would
round.
rather be Spurs in the last 5 years than Arsenal.
We won a big European trophy.
Really?
The same trophy you lot could have
You
got.
Look at the
You won
fans over that side.
Exactly. Look at the fans over this side. Bar Newcastle. In fact, no, I'll speak for Leeds. I've grown up Leeds always being pretty much an underdog to who we consider our rivals, right? If Spurs, let's say I'm in Spurs shoes, years and years are being bantered for winning nothing, and Arsenal are on this drive to win a Premier League, a Champions League, whatever else they think they're going to win. And Spurs, having finished 4th bottom, 5th bottom, go and win a Europa League, you're fuming. And as a Spurs fan, I'm then like, that's hilarious.
Hang on a second.
If you win the Premier League, if you win the Premier League this season,
right now,
if you win the Premier League,
it's the 11th of November. Yeah, Arsenal were top of the league and top of the Champions League.
they've won they're European champions.
It's happened and it's over, and the parade was great and you enjoyed it, and then you were sort of back to reality when you realise you've then got to replace the
They're
whole
the
thing
holders.
again. Huh?
They're the holders of it right now.
I understand
You
that you're
are
the
the holders
holders of
of
it, but it
nothing.
hasn't done you any favours.
It has.
No,
It's
it
literally
hasn't.
itched a 17-year trophy drought, and now we're back in the Champions League. We were able to sign the players we were, like Kudus and Simmons in the summer, purely because we were in the Champions League. So clearly, it's done something for
Mate,
us,
it has
despite
done them
having
favours
our
'cause
worst
everyone's
league
here.
finish in Premier League history. So you can't tell me it hasn't done anything.
I'm by myself over here, but for me personally, as much as we have bantered Arsenal over the last 5-6 years of them challenging for a title, nearly being there, they're still in and amongst the race. And for where they've built gradually over these last 2 years, I feel like they've now just got to a place where they could actually dominate, and they've built a foundation to where they will win things.
I was hearing the argument on the Arsenal side about being in and around it, but then I kept hearing this ended a 17-year trophy drought, and I just put myself in the Spurs shoes and thought, that would feel good.
Football used to be a game where you actually went out to try and enjoy it, to try and enjoy watching your team play, seeing what identity or philosophy your team's trying to build. I feel like Arsenal over there have set a bad precedent, in my opinion, and this league is a copycat league. Whenever someone sees something work for one team, everybody tries to copy it. Unfortunately, Arsenal have a set piece figure out. The fact that everybody's trying to copycat it, I think is a disgrace, in my opinion. Find your own method and find what works for you. I love that I've seen Brentford, for example, do the long throw things, but it's different methods. I think set pieces, for me, it's a good trick to have, but to build your team and identity around it, I think lessens football. We go to football games to enjoy players. We go to football games to enjoy watching teams. We don't go there to watch set pieces. That's what you do in training. So in my opinion, it's a nice tool to have, but the fact that the Premier League is now becoming a set piece league, I think it's a shame.
I don't think it's a shame, and I think there's a lot more things that are ruining the game before set pieces. I come from an era, I really do.
You come from the era where people were afraid to play against Rory Delap, and they would knock things out for corners
I'm telling you,
rather than throw
listen, I had a manager called Dean Holsworth who learnt a lot from Sam Allardyce from Bolton, and we focused on set pieces. We really did. We focused on getting the ball down the other end, getting a set piece and setting up for a set piece, and we scored a load of goals from that. So I don't believe it's ruining the game. I believe it's an extra tool, an extra trick, like you said. I think short balls from the back. I've seen Spurs do that, pass the ball at the back and get caught on the ball. I see Jed Spence do it very recently. So I think that's ruining the game more than set pieces.
But here's what you're referencing Bolton there. You're referencing Stoke there. Those should not be the parameters that we
It's not a
measure
parameter.
the great Premier
The
League
parameter
on.
is, hang on, the parameter is right now Arsenal
Yeah.
who are killing the league, right?
Yeah.
So that would be a good parameter to go on, which I'm
Right.
not even going on that. Like you said, Brentford are
Still
doing,
not delivered nothing at the moment, by the way.
Brentford are doing the long throw.
It's
Yeah.
not the
Teams are
NFL though. You
scared.
don't want the game stopping
This-
every
but
5
this is
seconds
the
for
thing.
Calafiori to get a big towel out, dry the ball. We don't want the game breaking
You
up
lot
50
don't enjoy
times a
that.
game.
You don't
Listen,
enjoy that.
again.
And
I
that's the thing.
enjoy it.
And if your team starts doing it and they get success with it, you'll be like, cool.
Well,
but
my-
if it's not working, I'm telling
Hang
you, you're
about,
going to
hang
be like,
about. You're talking
don't
to a
tell me
West
my
Ham fan.
manager, all
Listen.
he's got is set pieces.
Brother,
Winning
you're-
is winning.
Hang
And
on,
top
you're
of the league
talking,
is
you're
top of the
talking to a
league.
West
Hey,
Ham
I've
fan,
really
right? Who had
apologise.
David
I've
Moyes,
gotta be
who
here.
was unbelievable at set pieces.
Ward-Prowse.
Soon as he went, we fall into bits, mate. To be honest with you, so I am a fan of set pieces if they're done right.
I don't deny that set pieces are an important piece, but the way right now, it's almost like the meta. Every team is trying to focus and hyperfixate on that. I don't think that's a
think the
good
fans-
way
I
for
don't think
football.
I don't think it's true either.
I think it's true. I think every team is now trying to come with smart corner routines, smart, and don't get me wrong, it's a good tool to use.
You just said
but
smart.
It's smart.
That's good.
I don't deny it.
That is
But
good.
it should not be how football is almost going. I
Listen.
feel like we've gone too far the other way. A couple of years ago, it was the tiki-taka and Pep. I understand. That was too extreme.
Too
one way.
much.
Now we've gone too extreme the other way.
I
we
think
need
there's a
just a
balance.
That's what
balance.
happens.
I
We
think
need a
there's a
balance.
In a game that's micro-analysed to every minute detail, when you've got, for example, I'll use Arsenal, when you've got the best set-piece taker on the planet, best corner taker on the planet, Declan Rice, and the biggest aerial threat on the planet in Gabriel, you're going to utilise that.
So
Why
guess
wouldn't
what?
you?
Now we might as well not have manager. Nikola Jova is basically Arsenal's
I was just
gaffer
gonna say,
now.
you
Yeah,
can't-
basically,
you
the
shouldn't-
set-piece coaches are now more important than
You
managers.
shouldn't have a mural of your set piece
Come
coach.
on.
That's going a bit too far.
on.
Football is about having different artillery, right? And Arsenal, Liverpool, who I think do it more than Arsenal, by the way, have scored more, shall I say, in the last year, have different Arsenals in their locker. You know what I mean? So there you go.
For me, I think, look, football is called the beautiful game for a reason, because we want to enjoy the players that we watch, the teams that we watch. It's not set pieces. Set pieces is a nice sidekick to the actual show that goes on, but now we've become too focused and too infatuated with set pieces.
I played football at a decent level, played for Leyton Orient in the 3rd division at the time, and we had a set piece Martin Ling used to set up called the bus stop. And let me tell you, we worked on it, and when it worked, it was beautiful. So it was a beautiful side of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't mind, you know, the odd set piece, the odd corner, the odd free kick, whatever. It's when you're stopping the game 12, 15, 20 times a game for a towel to dry the ball and then a big long threat. It's just, that's not football. That's turning it into NFL or rugby. I want to watch football played on the floor, and that's what the game should be.
The way I see it, yeah, like in my era, skinny jeans were in fashion. Now, baggy jeans are in fashion. Football is the same. Football is cyclical. Tiki-taka pet ball was in fashion. Now set-piece ball is in fashion. You've got to figure out new ways. And to be honest, winning is winning. Goals is goals. And as much as I hate Arsenal, I'm the first one to bring them down. Top of the table is top of the table.